Oh yeah, he's got like 4 times the speed of sound. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I could have got out on the dock and done it, but it might have been a little more uncomfortable. Well, it would have been a little more difficult. I mean, visually it would have been stunning, but a little been more of a challenge, audio wise. I think I could have got out.
Okay, we're live on Facebook. Where are we? YouTube, not Facebook. Okay, so where am I? I'm gonna tweet this at you now, but yeah,
Right.
you can address the red carpet.
Sure, sounds good. Very exciting. They're going to hate me on Twitter though already. Enough already. Enough. We get it. You're at a cottage somewhere. We get it.
Just to make us normies feel jealous. Okay.
We get it.
I'm live. Let me see.
We get it. All right. Yeah. So anyway, here's where we are. We are near Port Carling, Ontario. Port Carling, Ontario, which is like a little town that is packed at this time of year with touristas like us. The prices are driven sky high by the local merchants, right?
Oh sure. Oh sure.
$8 for a little thing of a leaf, right? Just like a little tube, the little tube that's got 10 of them. Like it's like $8. gas, the highest prices in the province for sure. The
Hey,
highest price in the province.
that's crazy. David Brown just tweeted that you're Canadian sports broadcasting royalty. What do you say about that?
And I don't know what David Brown's been smoking, but I'd like to try some. Wow, that's great.
He's a
Thanks.
creative director at Orbit Studios, so he's not just some schlub. I don't know.
Orbit, wait a sec. Orbit Studios, like the Orbit Room? Are they
I don't
associated with the
know.
Orbit
Orbit's,
Room?
I
That's
don't
that
know,
was a hell
man.
of a spot.
The one-way street here, but don't forget to retweet that tweet.
All right, I'm retweeting it right now.
Barking orders at you here because I know you're in lake mode, so it's like.
I am. I'm
There
in
you
lake
are.
mode for sure. I'm in lake mode. What do you mean? Here I am.
You tweeted it. I'm just looking. I said, "Here you are."
Oh,
Here's the tweet. Come
yeah,
on.
there's the tweet there. So yeah. So it's been very outdoorsy type of a vacation here. Golf 2 days in a row on the beautiful Stanley Thompson course nearby, and just heavy relaxing. It's a good thing, get out of that. And I hear it was super hot in the city.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
very hot. Yeah.
like really, like up here, perfect, absolutely perfect. And going home in a couple of hours and back into the city mode. But we got to talk some sports here because I've been reading a lot of comments about like which is worse, Canada soccer or Hockey Canada. Like,
No, it's true.
it's embarrassing to be a Canadian, isn't it?
It is embarrassing, and yeah, we need transparency on both fronts. Like we need answers here. This is it is a national embarrassment on both fronts, and,
You
and
could say
normally
shit.
those are two sources of pride for this country.
You can't say shit show. You could say it. I know you wanted to say shit show. It's a shit show.
Or a tire fire. That's the other one. People
Tire
go through
fire.
the tire fire.
Right. What happened to my? Hang on a second here. I got to find something. I lost something.
Okay, you've looked for that. I'll just say hello quickly to Wayne Brown. Hello,
Hi,
he's
Wayne.
in
Hi, Wayne.
Lethbridge.
What's up, Wayne?
Lethbridge, Wayne Brown. Chris F. Graves says he's in Cambridge. People are
Yes.
everywhere. Junk Food Junction is here. He says he's on the red carpet early today, but we're going to go live in 4 minutes, everybody.
Junk Food Junction.
Yeah, that's the handle on YouTube, Junk Food Junction.
Love it. Love it.
So if you're into junk food, he's your guy. He's your man.
Not
And
into. I'm not into junk food.
You know
Very
what? I
healthy
like.
lifestyle.
I love that you have this healthy lifestyle, and I want to be like Hebsy when I grow up. But I still like I don't know. Is pizza junk food or no? Pizza's not junk. Is pizza
I
junk?
don't know.
Okay.
I try not to overindulge in it. I used to enjoy it a lot more when I was a kid. A lot more.
Like you're talking
I could
like,
eat. I could eat 2 pizza pies. Seriously.
Oh yeah.
No problem at all. Right. But I find now it's just not. It's not that I don't enjoy food as much. It's that a lot of it just doesn't agree with me, and I don't. I eat more for sustenance now than for we're gonna try.
Right.
It's more occasional in those cases. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I used to have cravings for like smoked meat. Oh my God, I could go for a smoked meat sandwich. Now I don't have the same craving. And if I do have it, I don't get the same satisfaction as I used to. It's a terrible thing to say, I guess, but it's like, okay, I loved you for 40 years, but not anymore.
Right now, yeah. Now you value other things more than that moment. And also, it's momentary. I find junk food is like the moment you're eating it, you like it, but then like 5 minutes later, you have so much regret. Like, oh, I feel sick. Why did I do that? It's like why? Like, for that moment, you have this like moment of weakness. It's like you need that instant gratification.
Junkie's remorse for sure. Why did I do
Yeah.
that? Well, it is. Why did I do that? Why? What was I thinking? Right? And then you beat yourself up over it, and then. Well, then it affects your digestive system in such a way that you're going, oh my God, was it worth it?
And it goes right to your gut, and you're looking at this gut, and you're like, I don't need a gut. Like too many guys. I mean, you're a little older than me, but too many guys our age are walking around with these big pot boilers.
I got one too, man. It happens. You can work. Listen. I know people. You
hide
it
well, though.
You could work your butt off, or your to get the six pack or whatever. It's just it happens. Okay, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like when you see former athletes, and you go, wow, look at him, he's put on 100 pounds. You're talking about a guy who every day for however many years was in tip-top shape,
right?
Had to be in tip-top shape to play at the highest possible level. You stop that training, you stop that routine where every day you had to be in the gym or you had to be doing whatever.
And that diet.
Stop that. And the diet. All right. And you stop all of that and you say, okay, now you're on your own. Okay.
Right.
And then you look at the guy 5 years later, 10, when you go, holy cow, look how big he got. They're all like that. Very few of them. Like Fergie Jenkins is a good example of the opposite. He kept in trim. He's in trim. Okay. He looks like he's like, same weight he was when he pitched, maybe even less, but he's trim. But I mean, and he was a tremendous athlete anyway, so maybe just the body structure. But when you see most men, you kind of go, listen, you get to a certain age, of course, it exists, right? It doesn't mean you're not in good shape.
Right.
It's just, it happens. Don't obsess over it. I try not to anyway. But yeah, recently, especially during the pandemic, I put on some weight and I looked at myself, oh my God. I had to switch from a large to an extra large shirt. I went shopping this week. I saw a really nice shirt, put on the large and went, Not anymore. No, gonna have to go to a bigger model.
we all packed on a few during that pandemic.
Gonna have to go to a bigger model. It's like it's like when you had to let out your belt notch by one. Remember like what? It's not that I'm not a 32 waist and a 30. No, not even. No, you're not. You're not.
All right, one more hello before we start the show. Hello to the great Eugene Velitis, who's joining us from Vancouver.
Gene, the best. By the way, you may hear some strange sounds in the background. I've got a hummingbird feeder right here, and the sound of hummingbirds, are much different than I thought. Very different. So you might hear this odd.
I like that ambient bird song.
And a bear could climb up here for sure. We've got raccoons that come up and shit on the deck here, and you got nature. It's a beautiful thing. So if you're ready to go, count me out and let's go.
All right, Hebsy. I'm recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Just 45 minutes from downtown Toronto, you'll find the most beautiful and affordable public golf course in Ontario. Outstanding customer service, $1 million views, fabulous food and bevies, terrific driving range, and of course, a championship golf course that's always in beautiful condition. Pristine, I would say. And if you book your tee time online rather than by phone, you save $10 per golfer. That's carry the $40 per foursome, enough to have lunch at the Back Nine Bistro. So what are you waiting for? A personally engraved invitation? Okay, here it is. Go to crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time, save some dough, and when you get there, make sure you tell them Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, let's start the podcast. Hey, sports fans, welcome to Hebsy on Sports, episode 294, live from the Muskoka Bureau, where it is a picture-perfect day. Take a look behind me. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
I'm jealous.
You should be. It's fantastic. It's not hot and silly into the city, a concrete jungle that you're in there. It's been great. I'm Mark Hebscher, alongside Toronto Mike, alongside In the Boxes, but of course, nowhere close to each other geographically. Yeah.
geographically?
Mike's in New Toronto, manning the mothership there. It's been a pretty quiet week in sports. Usually the week of the baseball all-star game is quiet. And I had always been saying for a long time, Mike, that, we got to have more action. We got to have like maybe a big soccer match between Canada and the U.S. women, right? That would be fabulous, right? In the middle of all-star week. It's something to watch, but, I don't know anybody that saw it. Unless they subscribe to the whatever that package is that has the food channel, the history channel, and that soccer channel. And Much Music, or whatever that is, or Much Plus, Music Plus.
Yes.
So I don't know, whoever picks those packages, do they flip a coin and go, yeah, let's put this with that. Let's I don't know. So I tried to watch the game, couldn't watch it because I only have regular TV, and I'm one of the thousands, many hundreds of thousands, millions perhaps of supporters who are up in arms. I'd also hoped to see Jordan Romano in the baseball all-star game. Okay. Did he have him warming up? Dusty Baker had him warming up, but he never got in the game. So apparently Dusty Baker forgot who Jordan Romano was. Oh yeah, him leads the American League in saves. Oh yeah, that guy. Okay. All right, Dusty. We'll see. Mind you, Alek Manoah was a mic'd up star in that all-star game. If you watched Fox, if you were watching Sportsnet and their feed, you never saw it. Lots of Jays talk today for sure, because they got a big weekend series with Boston. It's big. It's huge. They're all big now. They're big. You couldn't say that back in May. Oh, Jays, big win for the Jays. Not as much. Now, the Live Golf Tour is making life miserable for those who support the PGA Tour. And now they've got the LPGA commish interested in a possible deal. What? This is getting good. This is a heck of a good soap opera. Sexual assault allegations against the owner of the Edmonton Oilers is not a good look. Certainly not a good look in light of the London 8 and the reopened investigation. And it's getting hot. It's getting hot for all those players who were on that team, all coming forward, okay, and saying, I had nothing to do with it. But the ones who haven't come forward, why not? What's going on? What's happening to our hockey culture? Plus the Fan 590 airing 6 hours of Vancouver sports. Why? Because they're cheapskates. They're Schnorers, Mike.
Schnorers.
They're Schnorers, okay? They're cheap. And this weekend, it's going to be all CBS radio or whatever they have on that station all weekend. I don't even think Roger Lajoie is scheduled this weekend. They don't send Ben Wagner on the road to do Jays games. It's a fucking disaster. Hi, by the way, hi, Mike.
Hebsy, hello from your old stomping grounds of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Today you're in Muskoka. How did you end up there? What a beautiful sight I'm seeing on your YouTube channel.
I took the 400. Got off at Lake Joseph Road.
All right.
Took 69, Highway 169, 118 into Port Carling. And then I can't tell you anymore after that.
All right. So you're in Port Carling. Beautiful.
There's at least one listener who knows exactly where I am. Okay, exactly, because they saw the shot that I took of the rainbow the other night. I took a picture of a fantastic rainbow that occurred. It was actually a triple rainbow. I got 2 of it if you look closely on the picture.
Wow.
But it's a gorgeous shot above a boathouse, and man, I mean, it just poured up here. It was wild just watching it. And then the rainbow occurred. We ran down to the dock, and it was beautiful.
So you're enjoying yourself. You're having yourself a good
tremendous
vacation.
It's tremendous. But I miss baseball. It's actually a good time to be up here because except for the All-Star game, there wasn't anything on. But now, all right, like now it's okay. It's late July, and we're in a battle. The manager's been fired. No more fucking around. It's John Schneider's team now. So with the All-Star break out of the way, and it was great. Alek Manoah that in of itself. If you watched it on Fox, he's mic'd up. He's on the mound pitching, and he's talking to the guys up in the booth. What's his name? And John Smoltz. And Smoltz is going, what are you going to throw here? And Manoah's going, well, what do you want to see? And I'm going, this is gold. Now, remember, it's an all-star game, and I'm sure they said, Manoah knew, but all the players, it's way more relaxing than it ever was, the all-star game. The all-star game used to be, we want to win.
Right.
There's competition.
Well, Charlie Hustle used to break legs in this thing, right?
Like legs, yeah, and careers, right? The all-star game. And now it's like, hey, man, everybody hugs everyone out, and it's cool. I think it's great. It's great for baseball. It's great to see these guys in their element and enjoying each other's company and all that. And during the game, imagine a player like back in the day. You could not imagine, Steve Carlton going, a microphone on me. Fuck you. Get out of my. Don't even talk to me. But nowadays it's like, dude, come on, it's the All-Star game. Let's have some fun, right? Let's go into the dugouts. Let's send Big Poppy in there. So the Fox telecast had all of this interaction, and the telecast on Sportsnet. So after you watch Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddle, and if you left it on Sportsnet, you saw a very dull feed of I don't even know who the guys were, but I didn't watch it.
And that's the international feed.
Yes, the MLB international feed. But if you switched over to Fox, you got all this great stuff of the two guys across the dugouts chirping each other, and Manoah saying, "Well, what do you want me to throw?" Smoltz says, "Oh, go throw that backdoor slider or whatever," and he has to hit the guy in the foot.
Right. And
then he's going, "How fast am I throwing?" And Smoltz is going, "About 94." He goes, "Really? That's all? I thought I had the adrenaline going." And then when he strikes the guy out, he goes, "That's it, baby!" Like it's
one. That's one. Or whatever.
That's one. Okay. Oh, we got that call. It was tremendous. Great television. You can't do it during the regular season.
Right.
You could, but you actually could, because baseball's the kind of game where, if you talk to the managers between innings, why not during the game?
Well, pitcher is different than manager.
That's true. Having the pitcher out there talking about it is
it would be frowned upon.
But fun.
Right.
But fun. And so let's do this with all sports, right? But let's do it in such a way that if you're one of the announcers in the booth, ask the question and then shut the fuck up and let the natural sound, let the ambient sound, let all of that happen. Because that's what I really want to hear. I want to hear the interaction. I want to hear the ump say something, and then the pitcher, what the fuck was, where was that, or something. I want that pitcher, catcher, ump, that whole sound of what takes place between the mound and the plate, and in both locations. I love that, but I don't want the announcers in the booth jumping in. It's going to take some time, but that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
And just interesting in this day and age that I did not watch the All-Star game, but I saw on Twitter that, there was this great exchange. And then very, very quickly, I found the entire, half inning on Twitter, and I watched it, and I caught all of that. So I think even the Sportsnet viewers very quickly saw that great stuff.
Well, that's it. I think I know a lot of people switched over when they said, people were going, "Where is this? Where are you watching this?" Right? It's Fox. They're going, "Fox, we don't get Fox." And yes, you do.
Yes,
everybody has Fox. The Fox the local Fox.
WUTV.
Well, if it's you or the Detroit Fox or the Seattle, whatever the case, but it was on Fox. But anyway. So that was very exciting to see, and all those Blue Jays. But let's get down to business now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get down to business. That was great fun. It was great that we had 5 guys there. It should have been 6 with Springer, but he took a pass. This team has no injuries. We hold down the 3rd wild card spot. We got a weekend series in Boston. The Red Sox are 2 games behind us in the standings. Okay. You notice I say us.
I know.
Okay? And you're going to get people going, "Hey, come on." I'm not a member of the mainstream media anymore. So anybody that thinks, if you're saying us, fuck you. Okay. I've been a Blue Jays fan since 1977. When I covered the team, okay, I was the biggest critic of the team because I'm such a fan. I hope you understand that. I'm allowed to be critical for 2 reasons. One is that's just my nature. But 2 is I've been a fan since day one. Okay. Do I think I know more than the manager? Of course. Right. I've watched enough Blue Jays baseball, but again, only from a Blue Jays perspective. I can't speak to the Boston. I don't watch every Red Sox game. I know people that do and don't watch every Blue Jays game, but I'm pretty much talking to those of you who, when we go down a rabbit hole, you have an idea what I'm talking about, right? So here's what we got. We got the Red Sox, where traditionally, and I don't care which Blue Jay team it was, Dave Steve was pitching, Roy Halladay was pitching, Clemens, it doesn't matter. You go into Fenway Park and there's something about that ballpark. And it doesn't, not just the Blue Jays, but any visiting team. You don't know what to expect. You don't know nothing. 9-run lead isn't safe, nothing. So we got Kevin Gausman going tonight against Nathan Eovaldi. Big game, okay? And I can say that with conviction. Tomorrow, we got Alek Manoah, fresh off his 1-inning, 3 strikeout, 1 hit by pitch stint, engaging. America loves him now. We knew about him, and they all love him now. He's going to pitch against a guy named Cutter Crawford, Kutter, Cutter Crawford. Now I'm thinking this is the love child of Mariano Rivera and somebody or whatever. Cutter, who names his kid Cutter with a K?
Right.
Cutter Crawford is your pitcher. I'm thinking he's got a cutter in his arsenal. If he doesn't, his name should be Slider Crawford. But anyway,
well, that's a Roger Clemens type name.
It is too.
All those kids with K's. Yeah.
Cody Clemens, Cutter Clemens, right? So they got Cutter Crawford against Manoah, so that'll be good. And then Sunday, Ross Stripling against TBA. The Red Sox got their own problems with injuries. They got Trevor Story's out. Kike Hernandez is out. So we got a chance to beat the crap out of these guys and put some distance between them. And because it's the 3rd wild, there's no wild card spot after us. We got the last one and we're barely hanging on.
Right.
Let's giddy up. Let's go. Giddy up.
Okay? Time to get serious, Hebsy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, the Charlie Montoya story, here it is. A Canadian broadcaster or journalist did not break the story.
Right.
Am I right?
That's always the case, but yes, you are correct.
What do you mean that's always the case?
For baseball, for Blue Jays stuff, it never comes out of Sportsnet, for example. It always seems to come out of the States.
What about the other Toronto reporters? Not just Sportsnet. What about whoever is close?
Yeah, no, I've noticed almost every single baseball story of significance involving the Jays comes out of the States for whatever reason. You haven't detected this trend?
Is it just baseball stories, or is it other stories?
Baseball is the one I notice it particularly.
So, if I was to say to you, with the exception of Rick Westhead and the great team, the investigative team at TSN, and what they did with regards to, along with other journalists, collaborating with other journalists, to uncover the Chris Beach story, all the sexual assault allegations, the London 8, I'm calling them, although some people are saying it's the London 7, the ongoing investigation. These stories, with the exception of that story by Rick and his team, Katie Strang of The Athletic broke the story about Edmonton Oilers owner Daryl Cates allegedly paying an underage girl for sex, a ballerina for sex. That's a story. Now that's public record, but no Edmonton journalist, no Canadian journalist came up with that story. She broke the story. So the question is, do you think that because of the lack of independence amongst many journalists, they can't break away from the team they're covering or the league they're covering for whatever reason, they're in a conflict of interest? That has something to do with the reporting, because their bosses are going, no, don't follow that story. Don't investigate that story. We don't want that story. And the Americans, okay? And so what happens is the source ends up going to the American reporters, who are probably doing more digging, for sure, but also they've got these sources, right? They utilize them, and now the stories are being broken by American reporters. Why? Why not? So why not the Canadian media? What is it about us, for the most part, when it comes to sports reporting, that we don't want to dip our toe in this water? Or do we have the same problem with the culture? The Soccer Canada stuff. Like, why didn't that come out? Where were we on that? They made this deal with the devil, Canadian soccer, and now we can't watch the games on Sportsnet or TSN. They have to be on One Soccer. Well, come on. What's going on here? Where's all the investigative journalists?
Now, one thing I disagree with, I don't think the editors at the paper are actually going to these journalists and saying, back off that story. I don't think it's that blatant. What might be happening possibly is what I call like self-censorship, like self-suppression, where there's only so many journalist jobs. Maybe you won't pick at that. You won't pick at that story because what will happen with the people who sign your checks. Like there might be some
but that's not independent journalism. Then it's not journalism. Right. And so right. So we shouldn't have any expectation of, with the exception of investigative crews like Rick Westhead's, we shouldn't have any expectation of any of these shows doing any real journalism, because it's a conflict of interest. It's the company they're working for. Unless the company, unless Roger says, or Ron McClain, go ahead, knock yourself out, come up with everything you can. I just think that it's similar to, look, TSN doesn't go big on the Blue Jays like Rogers. They don't lead with the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays are playing, for example, a regular season game, they would lead with a TSN's game, whatever they were airing that night. Am I right?
Usually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they, Argos and Ticats, they're going to air that first. They're going to run that because that's their property. Right. So I understand that, but again, by definition, does the average viewer, listener care? Do they want to know, and do they know where to go for their source for the information? Do they want that? And do they realize that the broadcasts, for example, I'm talking about the Blue Jay broadcast, the Leaf broadcast, the Raptors broadcast, do they understand that the people hosting those broadcasts and reporting in those broadcasts are part of the team's broadcast, the broadcast rights, the rights holder? Well, and how tough can you be? Can you be like Dave Hodge was? Can you say things against the people that are paying your paycheck? Can you, with impunity?
Probably not. But I also want to point out the fact you keep mentioning Rick Westhead, who does a great job, but he's this one guy in this country, right? Like the problem with the journalism is there's no money to have more Rick Westheads. Like I always think about Kevin Donovan. Like there's so few true investigative journalists left in this country, so there's just less bandwidth to uncover these stories.
See, I agree and I disagree. And I'll give you an example. You had Gord Stellick and Damian Cox on your podcast earlier this week.
Right.
they did a show for a number of years, several incarnations, I think, from like, mid-afternoon, midday show on the Fan. And they never shied away from any story that I could think of without, commentary and
Right.
and good journalism, getting the right guests and telling the story. If I'm not mistaken, Gord was working for the Fan, which had the rights to the Leafs and the Blue Jays, right? I don't recall Gord ever, having to, not or candy coating it or something like that. There was never a question of that because Gord was a journalist. Gord became a journalist. He didn't start out as a journalist per se, but when you're doing a show like that and it's newsworthy stuff, there's journalism, and of course, Damien is a noted journalist. So that's different. But you add them on, and what happens is that if those types of shows were on the radio today, now, then the sports fans would be fulfilled. They would have the information that they want. They would get it from a trusted source. But now they don't have those. It's very
but they're not. I will say that Gord Stellick, who I love, and I think he's great, and he does tell it like it is. But he's reported on things that are broken by others. Like I don't see them breaking the story. Like somebody's got to do all that.
But didn't they back in the day? Wouldn't they have broken the story when it? Well, I don't know. I mean,
I commented on stories that came to light, and they were honest about it. But it wasn't. They weren't doing the legwork to break the story.
Okay,
that's the thing. There's no so Rick Westhead. It's a very how hard he must be working with what he's got on his plate.
Like, but he doesn't. He's not an anchor. He doesn't have a right. He doesn't have a show that he has to do every day and stuff like that. So I know what you mean.
But there's only one of them. Like who is the Sportsnet equivalent to Rick Westhead?
Stephen Brunt.
Is he?
I don't know. Is he Brunt? I don't know. Is he Brunt? Is he? I don't know. I don't know. But you're talking.
I do have his phone number. I'll call him while you talk about the Fan 590.
Go back and look at what the lineups were. Okay, the type of people that were on the air. Okay, some of them broke. Look, McCowan broke stories, didn't he? Or did he?
I'm sure one or two fell on his plate.
So I mean, I know the idea, but broke stories. Okay, in today's day and age, broke stories is somebody on Twitter puts breaking, and then says so and so is withdrawn from the Estoril Open. Right. So what, from our standpoint, what is breaking news and what is investigative journalism, and how much picking up the phone to confirm something before you go to air with it used to, right? Or to go to print with it, right? Your editor would say, do you have another source? Like, what, is this good? We don't have that anymore. There's no editors. There's no filters. It's boom, bang. Let's put it out there. Let's be the first ones to get it so we can say we were the first to have it, right? Damn the torpedoes. You can't have that. So there's less and less of the waiting and getting confirmation and making sure that you've got this. And it's a good story, a big story. This Daryl Cates story came out of nowhere. That's because a reporter at The Athletic, probably with some help too. You got some team there, you help me out, and doing the legwork, having the time, because you don't have your own show to do every day. You've got a column to write. And what's your story going to be about? What's going to be about the owner of the Edmonton Oilers, who's, alleged to have sexually assaulted a young, what? How come that story didn't come out of Edmonton? What's going on here? Who made the phone call? Interesting. Speaking of media, Mike.
Yes.
And the Fan 590.
Which I love speaking of, yes.
Which I would have loved to have heard Damien and Gord filling in this week from 1 to 4. Would have been fabulous. Instead, these motherfuckers, not Damien and Gord, the people at the Fan at Rogers, decided to run 6 hours of programming from their local Vancouver affiliates during the day. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver. I don't know who these humps are. I'm sure they're nice guys and girls. I'm sure. But they fucking watch Vancouver sports and comment on Vancouver sports. Why would anyone here in Southern Ontario give a fuck about the Canucks, the Lions, and the Whitecaps? I'll bet you there's 11 people. 9 of them are Whitecaps fans, soccer fans. And Whitecaps have a pretty good team. But come on. What do I want to hear about the Canucks? I couldn't give a shit. Why would these guys even run? They're better off to just run a test pattern. Right. And tone, bars and tone. So whoever the genius was that came up with this, the cheapskate, the schnorrer, to not pay somebody, pay your bottom line, pay someone that's like a producer that wants to have an air shift, that we're building to work, overnights, but put someone on the air that is watching and paying attention to Toronto sports. Instead of plugging in 6 hours of Vancouver.
What a curious decision.
And one of the announcers in Vancouver, now I didn't hear this, I heard it secondhand, but apparently didn't know how to pronounce Markham when discussing the hometown of Jordan Romano. Markham, I don't know what the person says again, but apparently this is it. But first of all, the one person that would have been listening to the Vancouver feed on the fan in Toronto. Here's some guy from Vancouver going, I am Jordan Romano from I couldn't pronounce it. Like you can't do that stuff. What the hell? And this weekend, instead of Roger Lajoie, it's like 18 hours of US syndicated programming. Again, bring back Gordon Damian. Come on. Seriously.
Gordon Damian would love it. They would love it, but the phone's not ringing.
Right.
So this is strictly to save a few bucks, because back in the day, you know what they would have done, if not even that long ago, but they would have got Joey Vendetta would have been on, and the guys like that, would have been kind of filling in or whatever. I know Joey sent a tweet that's got him off the call list, but this is just the path of least resistance. A bizarre choice. Like I wasn't listening regardless, but it does seem like a bizarre choice.
Again, it's not, but it is and it isn't, eh, Mike? It's not because look at Ben Wagner situation. Yeah, right. He's the only guy on radio. Can you imagine when all the guys get together and they go, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, wasn't that a great trip to Chicago? Hey, there's Ben Wagner. He never got to leave Toronto. He went to Buffalo once, but he never got to leave Toronto because he couldn't go there." Like, that's ridiculous. That's fucking cheap. Wow. Cheap. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's bizarre decision, in my opinion, to simulcast your Vancouver content. Because as we know from the 1050, the team experience, we don't want to hear about Canucks, Lions, and Whitecaps for segments. There's no interest. You said 11 people. I think you're over.
I think you're right. Okay, and all right. So here's what it came down to: the discussion we had this week. Is the Canadian Soccer Association, or is it Soccer Canada, whatever it's called, is it the worst organization in all the sports? Or would that be Hockey Canada? Like right now, right here, right now, if you were to say, like, which is the lesser of two evils? Could you really give an answer? I mean, it's disgusting. Soccer Canada, it's like, okay, it's fraud, it's fucking deception, it's they're paying slave wages, they're not being transparent. Right. And then there's Hockey Canada, which isn't being transparent, has a slush fund that's strictly from the registration fees that you pay, Mike, for your kids. Hockey Canada's taken that and they've got to put aside for any sexual assault allegation, any of that stuff there. Did you know that, Mike? Were you aware that your money,
I learned about
your
it this
fees
week.
Are going to that? Okay.
They didn't disclose that.
It's disgusting. It's heinous. Anyone that's associated with Hockey Canada now and in the past has to be investigated. Everyone, every single person from the media relations department all the way. Who the fuck's what's going on here? Who's going to do that story? Who's going to cover that baby? Who's going to not dip their toe, right? But stick their head in that oven? No chance, man. That's big. An Americans would do that. Americans would say, let's find what's going on in hockey. And is this going on in USA hockey, right? Like that kind of thing. They'd send the big investigative reporters. Let's go with this fucking story. This is big. This is, imagine, was all this going on when we were beating the Russians back in 72? Yeah, worse. So, and One Soccer, this whole deal with One Soccer, and the business, Canada soccer business and all that. This is just, how could this happen? Like, I'm serious. If I'm one of the players, I'm seriously thinking, could we boycott? Could we say we are not playing the World Cup? We're not playing. Right? Unless we really make a stand and then of course all of Canada is going, just fucking pay these guys and girls, pay them. It's just.
May I ask a question, Mr. Hebsy? Okay, what you talk about this deal with One Soccer, can you explain it to me like I'm 4 years old? Because I was watching the men's soccer team on their way to qualifying for the World Cup.
Yes, you were.
I was watching that on regular, whatever, Sportsnet or whatever.
It was Sportsnet. They had made a deal, obviously, with One Soccer and said, yeah, for sure, these are big games and they're being done. And, and we can, of course, think of all the wraparound programming Sportsnet can do because the games are in Canada, right? And they took that tier of the games.
Well, they knew there'd be a lot of eyeballs on it. So it was a decision. Right. So TSN and Sportsnet decided it wasn't worth paying for this match between Canada and USA.
Essentially, I think it was pretty obvious that either network, they had programming that was scheduled that I guess they were committed to, but there had to have been a way on Sportsnet 1 or TSN. I don't know to have this available. And like Stephanie Labbé, the recently retired goaltender for Canada's women's team, a gold medalist, right? She tweets out, like, how in this country, how could you grow the game? I forget the tweet. How is it possible? What's the tweet? What did she say? Oh, yeah. No Canada, US on TV. in the country that holds the gold medal, right? We are the defending gold medal champions, okay? Olympic champions. How can this possibly be that the average Canadian can't watch it? And it's true, man. How do you let this happen?
It is a
The
head scratcher.
Other countries must be laughing. Well, you're telling me that you couldn't watch the game in Canada? Oh, you could. But like, again, you couldn't cherry. Like if you said to me, look, it's $9.95. I don't know. I would say, sure, I'll pay it. Here's my ticket. I'll pay the $9.95. Let me watch Canada, US. Let me watch this
a la carte
great rivalry. Absolutely, Mike. Absolutely. How
so
in this day and age, is that not the easiest thing to do? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so, got it. Confirmed.
Yeah.
Watch
so One Soccer is like, obviously, I don't know how you stream this, but somebody can stream One Soccer. Like you subscribe to One Soccer. So it sounds like the deal between One Soccer and the Canada Soccer.
Yeah. Canadian Soccer made a deal with Canada Soccer Business, this company, and the deal was that all the rights went to One Soccer, and I guess if they could sell those off at times, and I guess they couldn't sell off there was no deal that was made or anything like that. But and it's it's a perfect time for it, man. You could really grow the game because there was no other sports that were on television that night at that time. There was no competition. It was a great time for it. Right? Perfect way to introduce it. Summertime. And yeah,
So good for, One Soccer sounds like they smartly you buy low, you sell high. Like they picked this up when it was dirt cheap because nobody had any interest. And then all of a sudden we're all like hungry for it. It's like that appetite wasn't predicted by.
No, I didn't like it at all. So a lot of people complained about it. And again, it's a mistake. It's not unlike when Charlie Montoya wasn't aware that Victoria Day was a holiday and benched, sat Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like it's just, there's got to be some communication going on here. Like somebody had to have said, hey, wait a second. I think Canadians would want to watch this match. And then someone else said, yeah, well, they're going to have to subscribe to One Soccer. Like Nick Bontis, the head of it, is going to be going, well, you know what? Then they're going to have to pay for One Soccer.
Well, that is sort of the answer, but it is unfortunate for guys like me who won't pay for One Soccer, but would absolutely sit down to watch a Canada-U.S. women's soccer match if the winner had a berth into the 2024 Olympics.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happens when the governing body of the game is run by idiots, right? and they made deals behind your back and to the detriment of the sport. They made deal with the devil. If they were to look at that, however the business deal came down, it takes away the opportunities, all these tremendous opportunities. Now, did they not predict that Canada was going to do better? Or
Clearly not.
Idiots. Anyway, idiots.
So I'll just say the Canada Soccer clusterfuck. I know you don't like these.
I know. I love that. No, that's a great
the Canada Soccer clusterfuck is an embarrassment, but I would say it's nothing like what's happening with Hockey Canada. To me, that's next level shame and embarrassment.
Well, you know why? Here's what's happening is, for example, what's going on in Canada Soccer has no effect whatsoever on the European leagues, right? No, right? There's no worldwide effect to it. It's just people looking at Canada going, what a bunch of fucking idiots over there. Yeah. They got some great talent, but they got morons. But it's different with what's going on with Hockey Canada now, because the NHL is in the middle of this, right? And international countries are looking at this as well, because some of their players might or might not be involved, right? The organization, all of Hockey Canada, even though it was Canadian-born players only, right? There is a ripple effect on, well, did this ever happen with Russian players, Czech players? Let's do some investigating as to the culture of hockey internationally.
Right.
Because if it's going on in Canada, there's probably a pretty good bet that something like it might be going on in other places too. The whole culture. And I'm talking from top to bottom. I'm talking about racism, sexism, slush funds, sexual assaults. I mean, you name it, assault charges. I wonder how many hockey players have been charged with assault on or off the ice, let's say, that had to be covered up by Hockey Canada, by the governing body. Who knows? How many times were police departments told? And don't tell me, Mike, that the chief of police of a small town or mid-sized town that knows people, whatever, and they say, listen, we can look after this. They don't want to press criminal charges. The woman refused to press charges, whatever the case was. Right? Okay. And then 3 years later, 4 years later, it's like, no, wait a second. Let's reopen this. Let's find out what happened here. Who was doing their job? What's going on here? And that's a big ripple effect. A lot of people are watching that. A lot of people.
Without a doubt. And before we get to golf, our investigative journalist, our Hebsy on Sports investigative journalist, Brian Gerstein, reports that One Soccer can extend this deal with
Yeah.
until 2037.
Mhm.
2037. I think that's outrageous.
You want to watch Canadian soccer? You're going to have to pay, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. This sounds like what the CFL would do when they would black out those games when I was growing up, and then we all just went to the NFL instead.
But here was the thing with that. The blackout rule was quite simple. The concern was that if there were seats available for the game, right? That if local television showed that game, those seats wouldn't get sold.
Right.
People will stay home and watch the game on television. And so the game had to have been sold out 72 hours before kickoff. Right? So for a lot of these Buffalo Bills games, you couldn't watch the game on the local Buffalo affiliate because they didn't sell out 80,000 seats. And then, local companies like Taps Friendly Market would buy the remaining 3,000 seats and distribute them or whatever, just so that the game could be on television. Right. And then, of course, they'd run ads. They'd probably do make goods or whatever, and they'd run ads for Taps Friendly Markets on the local. I don't know. But that's the way it was. But in the CFL, it was worse because since Hamilton was within 75 miles of Toronto, any Hamilton home game was blacked out in Toronto, or if it wasn't a sellout, and any Argo home game was blacked out. And sorry, it had nothing to do with a sellout. The Argo games were sold out at home, but they still didn't show the games on local television. You had to go outside Toronto. That was the ridiculous part. The game was sold out, 33,135 watching that game at Exhibition Stadium, at CNE Stadium. Right. Game sold out, okay? But it was I never remember seeing on television an Argo home game, ever. Wow. So I don't recall if the blackout was a 72-hour blackout rule, because they always sold the game out. So why weren't the games on TV? Because again, it was like, you want to watch the game, you're going to have to go. Yeah, but the tickets are all sold. No, you're going to have to leave the 75-mile radius of Toronto to watch the game. No, I'm serious, but you're laughing. But what happened in the day was, if the game was on CBC, which they were, you would have to find the nearest CBC affiliate 75 miles from Toronto. That's not CKVR Barrie. Not Barrie is more
Peterborough.
Less.
Where is that?
It would have to go up to Peterborough, or what we did was we went up to Parry Sound. Right, we would go up near there, up there, and pick up the repeater station that you could see the Argo. The blackout was lifted, so whatever the repeater station, the transmitter for that station, you could get it up Parry Sound. But yeah, you had to be outside of it. And the other thing was, you could watch it on the Peterborough station, but the local cable companies would black it out, of course, on their signal. So even though you got checks in Peterborough,
hearing this bullshit and then thinking about the one soccer bullshit we just talked about, Canada Kev's on your YouTube channel reminding me, this is why people do pirate streams, okay? This is exactly why people go find a pirate stream and watch it there, because you don't have to deal with all this bullshit.
It is. There is and again, I think we feel as viewers that we're entitled, that we pay our exorbitant fees for our cable and stuff like that, and we still have to pay. And I got to pay more now for this. If that's the case, then just make it available. Like you say, make it a la carte. I want that channel for $8.95 a month. I'll take that channel for $6.95 a month. That channel there. I want to watch that game. Okay, that game. I want to see that game and that game. Just tell me in advance. If I want to watch all the Tottenham Hotspur games, just tell me how much it's going to cost me. Okay, in advance. 120 for the year, 150 for the year, 200 for the year. Okay, good. But don't say, hey, Canada, USA, hey, Fabio. Nope, sorry, can't watch it. Got to have it one soccer. I don't want to do that. I just want to watch the game. Nope, sorry. That's the way it is. Okay, think of the consumer. Think. This show is brought to you by, of course, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in beautiful Burlington. Quite a distance from where I am now. Different terrain, but nonetheless, you got to check it out. We're going to go this weekend. I think I'm going to go Sunday to play at Crosswinds.
Nice.
There a couple times last week before we headed up to Muskoka, and it's in fantastic condition. You got to go. Crosswindsgolf.com. And you get $10 off if you book online. $10 off your greens fee, because they don't want you phoning. Because see, nowadays a lot of companies, it's like, just like, you could be standing talking to the agent in person. I could be 3 feet from you across a counter, and they just say, just go to the app and order it. I said, no, but I'm talking to you. Just here's my order. No. I don't speak English or whatever. Just do it. It has to be
automated, so it
has to be on the app.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Right.
I cannot do it. I said, Come on, whatever happened to the day I tell you this, and then you say, thank you very much, I pay you, and then I pick up my order. No, got to do it on the app. So that's why this Canada app, the people are going nuts. The one guy said he refused. He walked across the border without signing for the app. He said he wouldn't do it. He got fined $5,000. Like, people are just like, no, it used to be this way. Why do I have to do it on the app? Why can't I just,
Well, I guess like you want to go to a Blue Jay game, you got to download the ballpark app. If you want to go to the concert, you got to have the Ticketmaster app. It's
Mike, that's another problem. We were at my buddy Jeff Church, whose cottage I'm at here now. We went to the Jays game last Tuesday night?
Okay, you were there Tuesday. No, I was there Friday. Or you were Wednesday.
Right. That was the week before, right? Because this past week was All-Star. I was
the 6-0 first pitch game. Friday,
yeah, okay. So we're at the game. So he's got the tickets on his app. But what happened was he didn't download them at home. He went to download them, and something happened with the app, and he couldn't. So he's like, "Oh, I know my seat numbers and all that." They're going, "No, sorry."
Yeah, you're screwed.
Now it's 3 minutes till first pitch or 5 minutes till first pitch. Now you got to go customer service. You got to find customer service, and they are great there. I'll say that. At the Jays games, they're terrific. But there's only so much they can do. It's like, well, let's try it again. Let's try this. I'm going to send you the link. Try that.
So we had no data.
Didn't work. And then finally, he had to reissue the tickets through another format, and he emailed to him. But the process took another 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, I know a lot of older people who are scared to go to games because it's like app only, and they don't feel comfortable with this whole idea. But for us, you and me, us young guys, like we're kind of this world we understand or whatever. Give me the app, I'll flash it. It's easy as peasy, easy peasy, as long as your battery doesn't run out.
Exactly. And that's another thing. It's like, oh, my battery ran out because I was taking pictures of my first Blue Jay game and now I can't get my tickets. Oh my God. It could be terrible. All right. So we were talking about golf and I'm looking forward to playing Crosswinds this weekend again. And the game is, I have to say my game is pretty sharp, although 2 days ago, 87, yesterday, 97. That's the way it is.
That's golf.
My drives found every tree on the course. Every tree. I'm telling you, it's one of those days. But I got to tell you that I'm convinced that the story of the year and in the next future years is going to be this LIV Golf Tournament. And the LIV stands for 54. That's 54 in Roman numerals. The LIV Golf Tour, which is run by Greg Norman, who was not allowed to attend the past champions dinner at the British Open, even though he's a past champion because of his association with the LIV Tour. He's the spokesperson. But what they keep doing is they keep adding big names to their roster. So just this week, I guess it was Henrik Stenson. Now, the Henrik Stenson from Sweden was just named the Ryder Cup captain for Europe. Do you know what an honor that is? Do you know how big that is? The Ryder Cup captain. So he's going to lead Europe against the U.S. in the next Ryder Cup. No, he's not. He's over to the LIV. And so they had to drop him. You're like, oh, we've got to drop him from the team, right? Because he's now representing the evil empire,
right?
And so more players, and even though the top players are on the PGA Tour, it seems the players with personality are joining the LIV Tour. Some of them may be past their prime, but with the exception of Dustin Johnson, who's dull as dishwater, some of these guys on the LIV Tour, they got a bit of personality there, whereas the PGA Tour has no personality, Mike. They're dull. These guys are dull, right? I think about it. Patrick Cantlay is dull as dishwater. I mean, Scotty Scheffler is pretty dull. There's not a lot of pizzazz there. The LPGA Tour is the same thing. It's kind of listless, And so what's happened this week, and it's a great story too, is the LPGA commissioner, Molly Marcoux Saman, says that she would take a call if Greg Norman's LIV Golf came calling. Out of the blue, someone asked her about it. She said, oh yeah, we'll take a call. We would take a call because ladies golf, I think, needs that boost too. And I think that if you were to combine that and say, we've got the men and we've got the women, and we're going to play, maybe they'll play some mixed games or whatever. It's more fun. It's more engaging. It's more, I think, what the average golfer, not the obsessed golfer, but that's interesting. She's playing with him, but you got to have some personality. Because I don't know about you, Mike, but when I go golfing, I enjoy the company of the people I'm golfing with. We kibitz around, we have fun, it's enjoyable. I'm not playing head down, competitive. Don't talk to me. I'm focusing on my game, golf. Right. So anyway, the LPGA commissioner, so in an interview with the Times of London, she says it's her responsibility to evaluate every opportunity for the LPGA Tour. She says, quote, I would engage in a conversation if it would achieve our aim of promoting women's golf, but there needs to be input from players and sponsors. There's a lot of factors to consider before we do business with Live Golf. Now, Mike, are you surprised by this?
Not surprised that she would have a meeting with anybody interested in promoting the game. No, like I think you take the meeting. That's like your job to find out what are they offering, and then you can, like she says there, you take it to the players and the sponsors, and then you make the right decision. But I mean, Live Golf. It's funny that this is coming that way. Live Golf. I don't think they're interested in LPGA. Right? This is the Saudi Arabia backed. I don't think they're big on women. You know what I mean by that? Like there's a culture of men first.
It's very interesting that you would mention that. But I would think that if you were Saudi and you wanted people to look at the Saudis differently, and they allow women to drive, maybe they'll allow women to play. I don't know, but I'm saying that if the women, for example, members of the LPGA Tour, the key ones that they wanted to poach or wanted to do business with, said, sure, why should the money only be for the men? And said, all right, yeah, we'll give that a try. How would you feel? Like, I'm wondering if, because it crosses a few more, there's the gender line to cross, whereas the men didn't have that issue. It was strictly, you want the money, you got it.
Right.
But for the women to say, wait a minute, this is a society that considers women to be second-class citizens. And, how much do you want to read into that? Or how much do you want to, like a man, like anyone else would say, I'll take the money. Right.
Well, it's high. I think it's highly significant.
Highly significant.
Right. So I mean, respect to Molly Marco Simon. I hope I said her name right. But I wouldn't be like waiting by the phone for that Greg Norman call. Like I don't anticipate.
You never know. If you want to attract crowds and you want people to come and watch your sport or the way you want to present the sport, and it's of interest to you, that maybe more sponsors are available if you happen to team up Bryson DeChambeau with Brooke Henderson. I would watch that duo.
Yeah, you would. I don't think they'd be interested in financing it though. But I mean, time will tell.
Who wouldn't be interested? The Saudis?
The Live, yes.
They got so much money. Are you kidding me? Come on.
I think it's a deeper.
What harm could it do? No, they want to take away that. They want to be seen as liberal, as being open to this idea.
Progressive.
The last thing they want to be seen as, no, this is only for men and only men can come and watch, and who cares about? No, not at all. I would think that their PR people would think the other way, that the spin would be lovely. Like you say, they would be considered more progressive, and maybe less people would be saying, don't do business with these people. They're murderers. They're horrible people.
No, before we leave the Live, okay, sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say this is completely different from what the PGA is doing, because Jay Monahan, who's the commissioner of the PGA, has basically described Live Golf as a series of exhibition tournaments. So maybe Live Golf maybe they're okay with it. Hey, if it's look, if we're paying these people to play and you want to call it an exhibition tournament, in other words, the points don't count towards, this cup or that, the FedEx Cup or anything like that. So what? Here's the money. And then years from now, you can tell your grandkids that when they're sitting out on the dock and enjoying the beautiful lifestyle that you've given them with the $100 million you made or whatever, you can tell them, this is the way it was and this is the way it is. And you could choose the money or you could choose that.
You can play that Steve Miller song, Take the Money and Run.
You could play that one, but definitely the gloves are off in the golf world. I think it's going to be very exciting. And I just think that this Live Golf is not going to go away, that the more good players that they take a look at the PGA Tour this week, Mike. This week's tournament, first of all, that's the other thing. Remember I told you a few weeks ago, it was the John Deere tournament. Last week was the British Open at St. Andrews. This week is the 3M Open in Minnesota.
Sure.
Scott Piercy and Sungjae Im are the first round leaders.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure they're a lovely couple of guys and, exciting and great storytellers and engaging and whatever, but they're not moving the needle for PGA golf. Adam Hadwin, top Canadian, he's at -3. The ladies are playing the Evian Championship in France. Nelly Corda is your clubhouse leader at -11. Now, I'm just telling you right now that if the Live tournament, if the Live people said, yeah, let's do business with the LPGA, and the LPGA said to Nelly Corda, right? Hey, and her sister, Jessica Corda, it said two top players, the LPGA. He said, hey, how about for 100 million, 50 million, 30 million? You may not make that in a lifetime, and you're going to have to make cuts and you're going to have to grind and you're going to have to play against these great players and all that. And that's the LPGA Tour, and that's fine. But how about we have an association where you can play your LPGA Tour and do selected events with the Live Tour. You can do both. Wouldn't that be great? So the LPGA Tour keeps their standing. They keep their players, right, playing in their tournaments, but they make arrangements during their course of their year to have off weeks so that their players can compete at these exhibitions on the Live Tour. Beautiful.
But is this just pie in the sky thing? Like,
yes, it is.
Okay.
But again, if she reached out or if she said to a reporter, I'll take the call, and Greg Norman sees this and goes, let's take it to the Saudis, or let's talk. Oh boy. Now you're changing the face of golf. Right? Now you have a shift there where people are saying it's golf. I like golf. It's good golf. It's interesting golf. It's fun golf. And you've got others that say, I like competitive golf. And you've got people like me that I'll watch both. I'll watch engaging, fun golf. I used to like watching the Skins games sometimes, but I'll watch as long as it's the best players in the world. Hopefully, I want to see I always want to see the best players. I want to see the top players play and compete. That's fine. I don't care what the sport is or how you mix them up. It doesn't matter. Do I want to watch, Sunjay Im and Scott Piercy battle it out down the stretch at minus 24 in the 3M Classic on Sunday afternoon? Probably not. Rather be playing. Probably will be, right? British Open, different story. Want to see what's going on there. Who's going to win? Very exciting. Is it going to be Rory?
So if I'm right, the British Open, that tournament is bigger than the players involved. Like if these same guys were battling it out, Scott Piercy and Sanjay, like for the British Open, you're tuned in because that's a tournament that is bigger
drama.
than
That's drama, baby. They got to hit the road hole at 17 and then 18. They got to negotiate the way. They got to hit the ball over the hotel they're on. So yeah, it's more exciting if it's Rory McIlroy, involved.
Sure.
Of course, big name. But again, this Cameron Smith, this guy is no slouch. This guy won the Players Championship, right? He's got the blonde mullet and the blonde mustache, right? He's, expression never changes, whether he makes an eagle or whether he makes a double. It just doesn't change. So he's kind of robotic, sort of like that way. But still, it was exciting. But yeah, if it was two other guys and they were one stroke apart coming down the stretch at the British Open at St. Andrews, for sure, people would be watching. And of course, if Tiger was involved, it would be off the charts.
So let me ask you, what was when you were watching? I'm assuming you were watching when Tiger Woods got that round of applause from the gallery at the Open. What were you thinking?
Tearful moment for sure, because he's going, I may never make this walk again. The next one at St. Andrews, he's going to be 54 years old or whatever it is, and remember, Tiger has. I don't want to say a built-in excuse. That's wrong. But Tiger suffered a terrible accident, and the fact that he could even walk 36 holes, and they said, it would be an easy walk. I hate to say this, Mike, but as soon as the odds came out and Tiger was plus 125 to miss the cut, I said, that's probably one of the best bets you could make. Because,
that's a slam dunk.
Well, it wasn't a slam dunk. We all wanted him to make the cut. We wanted him to be in contention. We dreamed that, right? But quite obviously you can't, especially at the highest level of any sport or competition. You can't just, like I say, roll out of bed and practice for a week or so and play against the best in the world. So, it was almost embarrassing. You kind of didn't want it. +9, right? Like, he didn't miss the cut by one. He wasn't ever in it from the first hole. And it was sort of sad that way. And at the same time, you sort of say, maybe this is the right time for that moment. Cross the Swilken Bridge, wave to the crowd. Arnie did it and Jack did it. They were much older. Tiger's body may not allow him to, and quite frankly, he may not want to embarrass himself by, trying to play competitive golf and not being nearly the player that he was. It happens. But when it happens to the best, you got to know when to say that's it. Because I remember watching Willie Mays at the age of 42 drop a fly ball in the World Series and going, oh man, I was so embarrassed. You knew right then and there, you can't play again. Because you want people to remember you as, when you were in your prime, right?
Sure. Well said. Well said.
Anyway, Nelly Corda is your leader at the Avion Championships in France at -11, but Brooke Henderson is in contention, 3 back, and playing great golf after an opening round 64, which included an eagle on the 9th hole, which was her final hole of the day. And that's got to be probably the best way to end the day, with the exception, I guess, of an overtime goal to win the game or something like that. On the last hole, the last shot you make is an eagle.
Woo.
Right? Well, that's a good way to go into the clubhouse. You're feeling pretty good that way. So good on Brooke Henderson. And Brooke is, see, this is another thing. It's unfortunate is golf, in Canada, it's like, and we've been doing this for years. We give you the scores of the Canadian players. And, unfortunately or fortunately, it's really Brooke Henderson is the only player on the LPGA tour. There's Maud Amy LeBlanc. Occasionally we'll hear her name. Laurie Kane just retired or announced her retirement. These players, I remember Gail Graham, Donko Jones. It was, they were few and far between, and you followed their progress. Barb Bugkowski, but not nearly enough, unfortunately. And so we hang our hats on Brooke Henderson, and she is a terrific player. She's won more majors than any other Canadian golfer. She's still very young. I think she's 22.
Yeah, very young.
23? Like, come on, she's got a great career ahead of her. But she's not a marketable, maybe golfers in general aren't, but she's not, let's get Brooke Henderson and get an interview with Brooke Henderson. She's not engaging that way. And that's not a knock. It's just the type of person that she is. You can't be a great golfer and be an engaging, bubbly personality too. That would be too much to ask for. Am I right?
I think you're right.
And there's lots of bubbly personality golfers who shoot, 73, 74. There's tons of them, dime a dozen, right? But you want that combination of, and I remember with Annika Sorenstam trying to interview her, and it was like pulling teeth. And she's a fantastic golfer. She was playing against the men, phenomenal. But just, she just wasn't good. You weren't going to get anything. And it's like that. And I think with Live Golf, it's like, let's get guys that have got some, they got some personality. Maybe they're the type to go out on social media more likely than the PGA golfers. I don't know. Anyway, I think that'll wrap it, Mike. I think we're done.
You want to go jump in that lake?
Later, if it gets really hot, for sure. For sure. That's it for episode 294 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike. Thanks. Accommodations provided by the churches of Port Carley. Accommodations and some food. Woo. Thanks to them and the Muskoka studio here, the beautiful setting that we've got for this particular show today. Thanks to our great sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Go to crosswindsgolf.com. And thanks to you for watching and listening. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. We're back with another exciting episode of Hebsy on Sports. I don't know where we're going to be next week. I've Tierra del Fuego. But anyway, join us then. Until then, so long for now.